good to go.
Ready? All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
Flag,
the United
United
States
States
of
of
America,
America,
and
to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty,
liberty,
and justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez, absent. Councilman Larka,
Here.
Councilman Ward,
Here.
Councilman O'Connor,
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Okay, first item on the agenda, make a motion to go into the work session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Will, I'll let you take the lead on this, the peddling and soliciting law, please.
Okay, this goes back to about a year ago. We received a lawyer's letter from a firm out in Texas indicating that our peddling and soliciting law was unconstitutional. And after doing some research, I realized that he was accurate in his statement years ago, because the prior town clerk had indicated she was tired of issuing peddling licenses. The town board did away with it entirely. And that is a problem. We've since allowed food trucks with certain permits, but that doesn't satisfy the need for an amendment to our code that establishes a licensing structure, much like we used to have. But I've done some research. I've come up with a number of constructs. I guess the concern is that people are harassed by these solicitors who come to the door, or not all of them, but some of them. So we would have a process by which they would have to be licensed or have a permit, which they'd have to pay a fee for. And the construct that I've circulated, I know that Eric has a copy of it. I'm not sure whether Tony has a copy of it. I thought he did, but it did not appear in the packet for the meeting, and justifiably so, because it needs more work. But I think we're at a point in time where we can at least set the public hearing for the second meeting in September, as it's shown on the agenda. By that time, I will have the new licensing rubric married together with what we have with regard to food trucks and things of that nature. Even though I think we've only got one licensed food truck in the town, I think there was a time that
Two
they
now.
thought it was going to be a big blossoming, booming business, but to say the reality of it is that never occurred. So so I would hope that within the next week to 10 days, I'll have a working draft that we can use as the basis for the public hearing, and we'll go forward.
Any questions?
So,
I'll just comment real quick that I do have it. I think it's like 20 something pages. It's very thorough. I think it's comprehensive. I think there's a lot of clauses in here to keep the residents safe. So I've liked what I read so far. So looking forward to the next copy. And then I just had one question for you, Will. It doesn't need to be answered now, but in times when there's a pandemic and people are forced to wear masks and things like that, could this permitting process be put on hold or some sort of clause for that?
It's an interesting question. I think that given an emergency situation like a pandemic where it is advisable to wear masks, it is something that we could possibly stay at, have some sort of a moratorium. Whether or not that would pass judicial muster, I don't know. But I think the overwhelming desire for public health, safety, and welfare, we'd probably be successful at the end of the day. But it's not to say it wouldn't be challenged.
Well, and then just thank you. I think this is really a good solution. Thank you.
So
No,
You're welcome.
what we have in the packet is,
What you have in the packet is really just the first several sections of what is currently in our peddlers and solicitors law, which is it basically says you can't do it, and that's what was what raised the problems just with regard to really one company that has been going around the state of New York and maybe other states, for all I know, challenging local laws that, like ours, that ban it. And they've been successful in getting judgments in Long Island, a couple of communities in Long Island, and they have been in our town. I told their attorney in order to stave off a lawsuit that, you know, if their guys wanted to come in and register with the town clerk, who wouldn't charge a fee. Nobody ever came in, but I understand they have been around town.
thanks.
Okay, so you get that produced for us. We'll set the public hearing this evening for September 17th. And
Okay.
we'll post it on the net as soon as you have it available.
Very good.
Okay, any other comment? Okay, I'll make a motion to go into the regular portion of the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
First item is to waive the reading of the correspondence. Second item, approval of the voucher list, $1,217,725.87. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 3 is the budget transfer. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next is setting of meeting dates and public hearings. All meetings will be held at 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Thursday, September 3, 2020, and Thursday, September 17, 2020. And on that meeting, Thursday, September 17th, we're going to set a public hearing for the commercial shooting ranges, Chapter 138. We did have it slated for this evening. However, I didn't get it into the paper in time, so we're putting it off until September 17th. And the second one is to set a public hearing for peddling and soliciting law, which we just spoke about, Article 1, Chapter 103-1-103-5. The only thing we need to discuss, are we going live? Are we staying with Zoom? The September 3rd meeting could be Zoom based on the governor's order. And do we want to declare 17 or wait until we see what the governor says? I'm in favor of going live.
I'd prefer Zoom.
I'd say we need to see what the governor says.
Yeah.
But if he says Zoom, are you Zoom?
Yeah, yeah, Zoom if we're still under restriction.
Okay.
I'm really fine either way.
Okay, well, we'll have, so September 3rd, we're going by Zoom at this point in time. And based on what I have in front of me this evening, it looks like we may not even have a meeting. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing, don't know. Right now, there's nothing on for the next agenda, which is on September 3rd. We've got the holiday coming up. I don't see a lot happening.
When do we need to post these public hearings? Because that's, I guess, when we'll need to.
I'll do that. I'll try not to lose track of it this time. But I usually give them to Will a week before. Usually we're good with them. I screwed up on this one.
What we need to do is have them in a published form, not less than 5 days prior to the public hearing.
Okay, so by then we'll know what decision the governor is going to make.
Hopefully.
So since we have a newspaper that has a technical publishing date of a Wednesday, even though they come out on that Monday, I'd have to get the verbiage into the paper probably no later than the
8th.
Friday the week or 2 weeks before.
So the 4th.
Yeah. So prior to publication, what I do, I'll get into contact with each of you to find out if the governor extends it, it looks like we will probably stay with Zoom possibly. And if not, we will notify the public as soon as we're aware of how that meeting will be held. And we'll post it in the paper accordingly as well. In the public hearing notice, okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is a resolution for the solar energy project. As many as you know, wow, it's been a long time. We originally went with Solar City, who won the initial contract for the solar panels down on the old landfill way back when. They never performed. They did about $750,000 worth of site work down there, which is going to be inherited by the new company, which tonight we're going to be recommending Ameresco, A-M-E-R-E-S-C-O, Inc. And I'll read from that. And we're kind of late in the season, so they probably wouldn't start till spring probably. So let me read this in the resolution start. Resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby determines Ameresco, Inc. to be the most responsible bidder and accepts the proposal of Ameresco, Inc. to lease the former landfill site for a period of years in accordance with proposed entitled Solar Energy System Property Lease Project dated January 23, 2020. And such lease arrangement shall be memorialized in sufficient agreements in form and substance approved by the town attorney for such purpose. And be further resolved that the foregoing resolution is subject to permissive referendum, and be further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized to publish an abstract of this resolution in the Putnam Press Times, the official publication of the town, and be further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to forward a copy of the resolution forthwith through Ameresco, Inc. forthwith. I would like to make it by reading this here. I realize a period of, it should say 20 years. So that's in the third line in the first resolve, lease the former landfill for a period of 20 years.
Tony, could I interrupt for 1 second? Let me just look, I want to make sure about something.
Okay.
Before you, just bear with me. I got the whole submission here. I think their proposal was, bear with me 1 second. I just want to look at the. Their proposal was for 25 years with 2 5-year extensions.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll change it to 25 and 2 5-year extensions, Will?
Correct.
Michelle, do you have that okay?
Yep, I have it.
Okay, so it's going to read the site period of 25 years plus 2 5-year extensions in accordance with the proposal entitled Solar Energy accordingly.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm amending the resolution on the floor. It has not been seconded. Is there a second to that amendment now?
I'll second.
And the resolution. Discussion.
Yeah, how many companies bid on it?
Actually, this company, one came in after the fact and it was rejected.
Okay, and who studied the bid? Who did looked
We
at?
had a committee with Michelle Stancotti, Michelle Frioli, Levon, and myself. That's usually who goes over the bids when they're submitted to the town.
Cool. And how does this look in comparison to leases that other towns enjoy with solar companies?
Unfortunately, you can't compare them. Compared to our last lease, it's about 15% of what we were going to get from the other company, but the other company, of course, could not perform. And things have changed in the past 4 years that we've been waiting for this to take place. So the monies aren't out there. The incentives by the government are not out there. So it's not the best deal in the world, but it's the best deal that was offered to us, and it's time to move forward. Actually, the company was rejected. Even though it was late, we did look at it, and they're very similar in value.
The other bidder.
Yes. But it was rejected because they did not bid on time.
Okay. So we haven't had any outside consultants check out the bid and compare it with other ones that they were aware of.
No, but it's not gonna do us any good at this point in time. We went out to bid and they were the only ones who responded.
Okay.
I mean, like, again, if you want to go to the original one that we have with Solar City, we were supposed to get $50,000 a year. On this one, we're getting 5 plus an incentive, we'll get 10,000 compared to 50,000. But someone that signed up, I know Patterson signed up prior to us, but what they got when they did theirs, times difference. If you go to the bank right now for interest, I called the bank today for a CD for 14 months, it was 0.65. I said, you gotta be kidding. Terrible. And I
So-
went to another, pardon?
So they pay us $5,000 a year for?
5,000, and there's a 5,000 payment as well. So it'll be $10,000 total each year.
Well, the other payment is a payment in lieu of taxes. The other 5,000 would go, it would be split between the school and the town.
Okay. And do we get reduced energy?
I'll forward you exactly what will take place with it. Reduced? No, but, well, 10, I think it was 10% is what they claimed. But everyone in the town is entitled to that.
Okay. No, thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote?
Councilman Alvarez is absent. Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Okay. Number 6 is a resolution sale of tax map 45.-1-38. That should be a dot, no. Wait, 45.-1-38, 24 Holmes Road. Find that resolution. Okay. Now therefore be resolved that the town board finds and determines as follows. The subject parcel is surplus property of the town of Southeast, and that based upon the review of an EAF, there will be no significant impact to the environment resulting from anticipated conveyance of the subject parcel. And 3, that such conveyance is an arm's length transaction with a proposed purchase paying fair market value for the subject parcel. And that 4, that it would be in the general public interest and promote general good health, safety, and welfare of the people of the town of Southeast to consent to the conveyance of the subject parcel. And be further resolved that the supervisor be and is hereby authorized to execute any and all contracts, deeds of conveyance, consents, application, plots, and any and all ancillary documentation as may be approved by the town attorney to facilitate the transfer of the subject property. And be further resolved that the resolution authorization is subject to a 30-day permissive referendum period as provided by law, and resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to publish an abstract of this resolution in the Putnam Press forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. For all those out there in the public that are listening this evening, the parcel is up by Volunteer Park, which is on Holmes Road. It's also off of Zimmer Road. Zimmer Road goes straight up, and when you make a right, it becomes Holmes Road. The town's owned the parcel for quite some time, and it's just weeds and whatever. And we had a couple of parcels that were vacant, and we're putting them out. It's not that we need the money, but the money, when we get it, I'm going to make a recommendation. We put into a separate fund. At some point in time, we're going to have to build a town hall or build a building, and that money should be used for that at that time. But that's not part of what this is, but that's what I would like to do with the money when it comes in.
How did we come to acquire this land?
We bought it. The town of Southeast bought it years before. We've owned it maybe 20 years at this point in time.
Okay, so we bought it.
Yes.
I believe, if I remember correctly, we bought it from an estate. And it became available. It was adjacent to Volunteer Park. And I believe there was a thought that at one time it could be additional parking for Volunteer Park. But I guess they've never really had too many significant demands for parking. So it was probably not the best acquisition we've ever made, but I think it was obtained at the time for a pretty decent price.
Thank you.
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, number 7, resolution sale of tax map number 58.1-1. It's 301 Milltown Road. Now therefore be resolved that the town board finds and determines as follows. 1, that the subject parcel is surplus property of the town of Southeast, and 2, that based upon the review of the EAF, there will be no significant impact the environment resulting from anticipated conveyance of the subject parcel, and 3, that such conveyance is an arm's length transaction with a proposed purchaser paying fair market value for the subject parcel, and 4, that it would be in general public interest and promote the general health, safety, and welfare of the people of the town to consent to the conveyance of the subject parcel, and be further resolved that the supervisor be and is hereby is authorized to execute and in all contracts, deeds of conveyance, consents, application, plats, and any and all ancillary documentation as may be approved by the town attorney to facilitate transfer to subject, and be further resolved that the resolution and authorization is subject to a 30-day permissive referendum period as provided by the law, and be further resolved that the town clerk is hereby is authorized and directed to publish an abstract of this resolution in the Putnam Press forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
This parcel is up on, at 301 Milltown Road, just down the road from, what's that road?
Mountain Brook.
Mount Brook. As you're coming from Connecticut, it's right on the right-hand side. We've had it for numerous years. And again, we have inventory of property, we put it back on the tax rolls. And the property was appraised, actually both properties were appraised, and this one paid the full appraisal value.
I understand that this property was donated to the town,
Yes, it was, with no strings attached.
and there was a gentleman that sent us an email who,
He was inaccurate
a little
in,
bit of background on it, saying that he had acted on the donator's behalf and addressed the town board back when it was donated, advising that they wanted to, their intention was for it to be ball fields and possibly hiking trails.
okay, let me clarify something. 1, the gentleman who sold this property to town was an attorney. He put absolutely no restricted covenants when it was donated to town. If that was his intent, he did not put it into the contract. It's not true.
Okay. And there's no record of Mr. Maffei acting on Freeman's behalf to address the town board?
Even if he did, the document that was approved by the, not by the courts, but by legal deed identifies it, and everyone had an opportunity to review it. There are no restricted covenants on this property.
I could also, since I was around at the time, I can speak to the fact that I don't believe the town board wanted to accept a piece of property that was going to be burdened with its use as recreation land without a fund to fund it. So they didn't, the town board at the time that this dedication was accepted did not want a more land in which they had to maintain, if you will. So, whereas Mr. Maffei may very well have come before the town board early on, I have served as Mr. Freeman's counsel in later transactions. And I can speak personally that I was the town attorney at the time that the conveyance was made, and there were no stipulations that it had to be conservation land or park land or anything like that. And that was by design. Mr. Freeman took a very significant tax deduction by being able to convey that property to the town at market value. If it were restricted, the market value would have been significantly less.
Thank you. No, I didn't have that understanding, and I appreciate your letting us know. Did Mr. Freeman act as his own attorney in the sale? I mean, is it all the documents have his name as, or was there?
I don't have a specific recollection I think Mr. Freeman was an officer of American International Group of Insurance, AIG.
Okay,
And when he sold this, what he did was he lived in the house that is now owned and occupied by a family by the name of Gogaj, Gojag or something, or Gaj. And he subdivided 5 acres, which included the house, and that's the one that's right on the corner that it's a gated property. And he subdivided out 5 acres, which was a little bit more than the minimum acreage at the time. And he subdivided out the area that was his pond, his pool, and his tennis court in his house. And he sold it to Mr. Gogaj, and he dedicated or gifted the balance of it, made a charitable contribution, if you will, to the town of Southeast, and took a deduction for it. He may have been represented in that aspect of it by AIG attorneys. I don't know. I don't recall.
that makes a lot of sense that he would have not wanted it to be a donation with any covenants if it's a big tax incentive for him. So, thank you.
I believe it was, and it was significantly more than what he would have been able to have deducted had he restricted the land.
Thanks.
I'd also like to say I live 4 houses down from this property. A bunch of my neighbors reached out to me, some saying it was never, they don't recall it ever being deeded or deed restricted. Some of the newer neighbors, I guess, had been communicated to by their real estate agents, of course, that it would never be built on. But I looked into it. I talked to Will, had the same conversation that we all just had, and feel comfortable with the response. So. And also whoever's purchasing the land will be subject to all the zoning, wetland regulations, and any other town regulations. That's all.
Cool.
Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm noticing here, I didn't put my supervisor's report on there, and I guess I've been so busy getting the budget prepared for 2021, I forgot to put it on the agenda. It's basically the same report that I gave last month. We're still having a shortfall in revenues. Our biggest shortfall this year, believe it or not, is in recreation. And when I'm preparing the budget now for 2021, it's really gonna throw a monkey wrench into it because I'm not sure how I'm gonna handle it. A lot of programs this year were canceled. Some were run at a minimum. I don't even think we're up to 50% on the projected revenues for programs that took place in the spring prior to COVID. Since then, there's been almost absolutely nothing. The beach has been up and running at 50% for the season. The beach is a losing proposition for the town every year. It's something we kind of subsidize for our residents. So I would say we've got about 30% of the revenues we would have generated normally from that. Concessions with social distancing, not a good picture. So I handed out all the what do I give them? All the budget, yeah, all the budget packages have gone out to all the department heads. They've all responded back to receipt except for one department. They're usually late with their submissions anyway. And I'm putting them together. I met with 3 or 4 department heads already, got 2 more planned. Highway, Mike had promised us when he got elected that he was going to prepare, future road purchases, not future purchases of major equipment to have to go back to a 5 or 10-year plan that they used to have way back when, which haven't been done in quite some time. What roads he would like to consider doing and, work out some kind of a budget over the next 10 years. So he's working on that. We're going to have to sit and go over his budget really closer this year and tighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to bring it, I'll try to make a promise. I'll bring it in, at the tax cap. It's going to be very tough, but we'll do what we have to do. And I'll be working very hard for the next 30 days. Ron's helped put the package together. He and I will also have to sit down to see where we can, kind cut here and there, but I won't say there's no major cuts because I don't know. Until I really get into the budget further, the numbers we have now are fluctuating too much. And, football season, one of our biggest revenue generators, doesn't look like it's going to happen. So, and then basketball, that comes up, a little bit later. That may not happen. So I'm kind of, we're kind of dealing in the dark. And I have to admit, I really feel bad for many businesses in this town, because even though the restaurants are allowed to, have outside dining, this is not part of my budget, but part of theirs. I mean, things are really, really tough out there. It's very, very difficult to make a living. As you know, the gyms still aren't open, and they're going to be allowed to open, but the things they have to do, I mean, some of them may have second thoughts about even opening. They have to worry about their air conditioning systems. So some of the revenues are just not there. Even Michelle's are down because, she gives out permits for various things and people just aren't doing things. So we'll have a budget. We'll work hard at it, and I'll have it ready on time. Prior to 6 o'clock this evening, I had no comment in from any of the public. So town board members.
September 12th, I think, is our next e-waste day.
Yes.
So
Where we put it out on the internet, that's going to happen. And what I've done for next year, I already got a sign made up for next year. There's three dates that don't fall within the first Saturday of a month, like the July 4th weekend, Labor Day weekend, and one other weekend. So there'll be a sign up there next year with every date of each month when it will be held, which will be helpful to the public.
great.
Anyone else? Okay, I have one bit of bad news. Not that we had any great news tonight. The welfare road culvert. As you know, that's been in the works pretty much all this year. Mike and his men have been out there working their butts off, getting this thing ready. We closed the road well over a month ago, and we were hoping to get it open prior to school opening. Well, I'm not sure, I haven't heard when school's opening is yet, but bottom line is there's been a major lightning strike at the plant where they're making the forms for this, the precast forms, so they couldn't meet the deadline. They originally told us it would be done by July. Well, now it's August, and Mike Burdick received an email from them about 3 weeks ago that this Friday they would make delivery of the cast concrete. And guess what they told him today? It ain't coming. He has no idea when it's going to come, and they're projecting now between mid and late September. So we're going to send a letter out to all the people on Welfare Road. It's through no fault of our own. I don't know what we can do. Well, we'll only be talking to you because our problem is the town had to go out and rent some heavy equipment to do this project. We're now well over 45 days behind schedule. We had to hire a crane, and it's sitting there. We're going to have to make payment on something that's through no fault of our own. So I'm going to forward you the contract and see if there's anything we can do, because if we get stuck with any additional expenses, I think we should not be paying for them. So right now, we're looking at the mid to late September, but if they pull what they pulled here in the past 4 or 5 days, there's no guarantee. We'll apologize on our end, but it's well beyond our means and not much we can do about it, except try harder.
Just to answer your question, Tony, school for Brewster Central School District does open on the 8th of September.
8th, and they're going to have full class?
They're doing 2 types of things. They're doing hybrid sessions broken up into cohorts by alphabetical order. So A through L would be doing cohort A, and the rest of the alphabet would be doing cohort B. So what they'll do is for those people who are participating in the hybrid learning, the A cohort would come in on a Monday, and then the B cohort would be in on a Tuesday, and then it would continue on like that. So they keep switching out. Parents were also given the opportunity to opt for 100% virtual learning. So the days that the children are not in a cohort that's physically in the school would be doing virtual learning at home anyway. I'm still not sure what's going on with the special ed. I'd heard that was supposed to be, depending on their classes, might be at 100% just due to the fact that they have very small classes. But I haven't gotten confirmation on that. But
Okay, but that all should be on their website, should it not?
yeah, and there's you can actually have videos on that for interested parents. So I direct them to the Brewster Central School page, and they can learn more about it.
And the highway department will be in contact with them to make them aware of what I'm saying this evening, because we just basically found this out yesterday. And the residents, like I said, of Welfare Road will be made aware by a letter, and we'll also keep the school informed as to when, but until the road opens, we're only gonna be guessing, because right now they have not been very kind to us.
Are you able to pass over the road if you walk?
No,
No.
no, there's a big hole there, don't even try it. You can try to pole vault it. A younger version of you, John, not you yourself.
I did do it with my bike.
Oh, no.
Before they,
Are you
Is
going
it-
to jump in the canyon like Evil Knievel there, John?
no, I'm just asking because I'm wondering, how many school children are on that road and what, if there was any way that they could gather them all together,
They'd have to, there's a detour set up to get to every person that lives on that road. It may take an extra 1 minute or an extra 10 minutes, but there's a detour been set up, all approved by the state.
And
Yeah,
Sherwood Hill is,
Into Putt Lake, so they typically do a drive-through into Putt Lake. 'Cause
Okay.
Putt Lake is still actually in the Brewster Central School District. So they have that opportunity to just, go and pull the kids out of Elizabeth Court, et cetera, and then go back out through Putt Lake instead of continuing down to Sherwood Hill.
It's a pain in the neck to do, but it can be done.
and Sherwood Hill is open from Milltown down to Gage.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
There's two people. Did we want to see if they wanted to make any public comment?
Eric, the rule is 6 o'clock by evening.
Okay.
You guys want to let them speak?
We've done it the past few meetings, that's all.
Well, then we should make it a rule.
Agreed?
Okay, override me.
I'd like to hear to see if the people that have listened in want to make a comment.
Second.
Roll call vote, I guess.
Councilman Alvarez is absent. Councilman Larka?
Yes.
Councilman Lord?
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor?
Yes.
Supervisor Hay?
No,
And now we have to do something else?
So
no,
there's,
now you guys overrode me, do it.
Okay.
You guys have to
They need to
understand.
raise their hand.
yeah, they can unmute themselves or by themselves, or they can raise their hand. And to do that, you click on participants, and next to your name, you should be able to raise your hand.
Hello?
Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't raise my hand. I don't mean to be any trouble. It's Scott Seaman from the Board of Ed. I wanted to thank Mr. O'Connor for putting out the information on the schools. They are indeed opening. We'll have more numbers by the end of this week. Some kids will be in school, some kids will be 100% virtual, but go to the webpage. I don't want to make any more discrepancy or trouble, so thank you very much. And I will also let the board know about the road closure on Welfare Road, and that the highway department will be in contact. And
It's
we
no
appreciate
trouble,
it.
there's no trouble, I'm just a stickler when it comes to rules, sorry. If there was 100 people out there tonight, we'd have a big problem, trust me.
I wouldn't have brought it up.
Also, thank you.
Well, yeah, I bet, okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Like breaking the law.
You don't break the law.
Anybody else? Okay, we're good.
You happy now?
Yes.
Smile, let me see that smile.
I wouldn't have said anything if there was 100 people.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, any rate, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
No.
I'll
Yeah,
make a motion to close
I'm not
tonight's
leaving, I'm
meeting.
staying, I'm having too much fun.
I'll make a motion to close tonight's meeting.
Okay, John seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming.
Good night.
Have a good night.
See you next month.